Dear students, welcome. Let's see the example. Here I am creating the one class as a calculation 1 in which I am defining the method as a summation. Here I am passing here three parameters as a self a and b, and this function returns, or this class method returns a plus b. Then class calculation 2, which is again the one base class in which we define the multiplication method, which again contains the three parameters self, a and b. As we know that we passes here three parameters, but in actual it takes only two values, because self parameter we need not to pass any value, it can be passed automatically in a Python. So we have to pass only the parameters of a and b. Then here we simply write the multiplication formula, which can be written from the definition multiplication as a written a into b. Then we derived the one class here whose name is a derived class, which can be derived, or which is derived from calculation 1 and calculation 2. So calculation 1 and calculation 2, these are the two base classes for the one single derived class. This is known as a multiple inheritance. The one single child class can have more than one base classes. So we passes the calculation 1 and calculation 2 as a base to the derived class. Then we simply write here the own method of a derived class as a divide method, in which again we pass the two parameters and we simply define the formula for the division as a written a divided by b. Then I created, or we created here the object of a derived class or a child class as a d is equal to derived opening and closing parenthesis, and simply we can call the method of a calculation 1 and calculation 2 by using the object of a derived class, because we know that derived class is inherited by using calculation 1 and calculation 2. So we simply write here print d dot summation 10, 20. As we know that this is a parameterized method, that's why we have to pass here the parameters of a and b. So the value of a becomes 10 and value of b becomes 20. This summation method is a member method of a calculation 1, which can be called by using the object of a derived class d. So we simply write the syntax as a object name dot operator followed by the member method name. So we just write d dot summation 10, 20. Then just like that summation, we again call the method of a calculation 2, like in the print function d dot multiplication 10, 20, and at the last we called the divide method of the own derived class by using d dot divide, and again we pass the parameter as a 10, 20. So when this function or this print method get execute, your pointer or program control will directly jumps to the calculation 1 class, and the definition summation will be executed, and the parameter 10 and 20 will be assigned to the variable a and variable b, which returns the value as a plus b. It means what? 30 can be written in a print function, which will be printed onto the console window. For the multiplication, it will print as a 10 into 20, that is 200, and for the division it will print the output as a 10 divided by 20 means 0.5. So we got the output as a 30, 200 and 0.5 on our console window. This is all about our multiple and multi-level inheritance, which means what? Inheritance is what? Ability to acquire the basic features of the base class into the derived class. The next feature of OOP is nothing but polymorphism. It is same. Polymorphism means poly means many and morphism means forms. So polymorphism is one of the essential concepts of OOP, which refers to having several different forms, which also contains the same name but different forms. While inheritance is related to the classes and their hierarchy, whereas polymorphism on the other hand is related to the methods. Polymorphism is a concept that enables the programmers to assign a different meaning or usage of a method. In Python, polymorphism is often used with the inheritance. Always keep it in mind, when we use the inheritance, then we can use the polymorphism. Polymorphism can also applied onto the operators. For example, plus operator can add the two numbers and the same operator can join the two strings. When I write a plus b, it will perform the addition of variable a and b, but when I write in double inverted abc plus in double inverted xyz, it will concat the two string as a abc xyz. This is called as a polymorphism. Means what? Thing is same or entity is same, but it's having the multiple or different forms. For example, right now you students are listening to me, so you are a listener. When you are in a class, you become a student. When you are in a market, you become a customer. When you are at home, you become a daughter or a son. So you student or you itself, it is one entity or one object which behaves differently in different environment. This is called as a polymorphism. What is the advantage of a polymorphism? It provides us the code reusability, and readability of the program is increases. We can provide some specific implementation of a parent class method in our child class. When the parent class method is defined in the child class with some specific implementation, then the concept is called as method overriding. We may need to perform method overriding in the scenario where the different definition of a parent class methods is needed in the child class. Consider the following method for the overriding. What is a method overriding? Means what? We are going to use the same name of the method, but it will act differently. Okay, so let's look at this example. We just write here class as an animal, and this class has its own method as a speak, which prints the method as a speaking. And I defined here one derived class whose name is a dog, which is derived from the base class animal. And again I am defining here the same method as a speak method, which is a member method of a class dog. So speak method can be defined in an animal also, and speak method is defined in a dog class also. So in the speak method, the speak method of a dog class contains the message as a barking, whereas speak method of an animal class contains the message as a speaking. When I am creating the object of a class dog, d is equal to dog opening and closing parenthesis, I just access the member method of the class dog as a d dot speak. So it will always calls its own method as a barking. So the output of this program will always print the barking. So here we achieve the polymorphism, that here we uses the two same methods, but both are acting differently. Now moving further, let's see the next feature of OOP is containership. So containership is what? In containership, look at this diagram. Suppose this is a department and classroom and lab. Means what? The classroom is also the one type of a class, and lab is also the one type of a class, which are included in a department class. Means what? Object of a class can be a part of another class. Means what? Classroom object can be used in a department object, and lab object can be used in a department object. There can be a class within another class. It means in containership we can define the one class inside the another class. So department, which contains the classroom and lab class both together inside it. Let's see the example of containership. Here we declare the one class as a classroom, in which we are going to use here the one inbuilt method of a Python, which is called as the init method. Sometimes it is known as a class constructor. Explicitly, we need not to call this method outside the program, because it can be invoked directly when an object is created. Again, this is also called as a object method because it also contains the self parameter as an argument inbuilt inside it. The syntax for the init method is it is prefixed and suffixed by the double underscore. So we just simply write here the init method followed by self and class number parameters, and here we initialize the class number object variable as a self dot class number is equal to class number. And again here we define the one normal user defined function or method as a show classroom, which prints the number of the classroom. Message as a classroom number is and number of that classroom. Then here we define the another class as a class lab, in which again we use the class constructor as a init method with the parameter as a self and lab number, and we initialize the lab number by using self.lab number is equal to lab number. And again we here use the show method to define or to show the lab of the number, which prints the method as a lab number is self.lab number. Then at the end here we define the one class as a class department, then which contains again its own constructor as a init method, which having the three parameters as a self. Then department contains the class number and department contains the lab number. These are the three parameters which we included in a init method. Then we just initialize the class number self.class number, which is the object variable of a department class, and we initialize the value of a classroom class number to the class number of a department. So we just write self.class number is equal to classroom, that is name of our classroom class, followed in parenthesis name of its object variable. So we just write self.class number is equal to classroom of class number. Means what? Here we pass the object as a parameter, or we use the object of a one class in another class. It is called as a containership. Means what? Here we included the classroom class inside the department class, the same class with the lab number class. So again we write here lab number dot self dot lab number is equal to lab of lab number. Again we pass the lab number, it is an object variable of a class lab, which is passed as a parameter to the lab number variable of a department class. Means what? We included here the lab class inside the department class. Then we use the show department method, which is its own method of a department class, which prints the department information like a print. Department contains the classroom, and we print the message as a print. So we just write self.class number dot show underscore class number method. Means what? To print the class number method, we use the variable or object variable of a department class, and by using this object variable we access the method of a classroom, that is show underscore class number method, which gives us the output of a class numbers, and we print department contains the lab as a self.lab number dot show lab number. Right. So at the end, we outside the class we just created the object of a department class as a D object is equal to department, and here we pass the two parameters, because here we know that we are going to use here parameterized constructor, which contains the three parameters, in which self argument does not contain any value. So we have to pass here the parameter as a class number as 100 and lab number as a 200, and so class number will be put into the class number and lab number will be put into the lab number, and we just display here the object dot show department. So show department will print the output as a department contains the lab number, department classroom number is 100, and department contains the lab and lab number is 200. This is called as a containership. Now moving further, the next feature of OOP is known as a delegation. In OOP, the code is highly modular. Each class has well-defined functionalities. It becomes easy to access the functionalities anywhere. No other class need to rework again for the same functionality. Modules and packages are delegations in Python. So to use the code again and again, that is to use the reusability functionality of a delegation, is known as delegation. Modules and packages are the best examples of delegation. Here it is very easy to access, or we can use the same functions anywhere in the program. To provide the maximum flexibility to programmers and to allow them to generate the reusable code, object-oriented language supports the delegation. But what is the difference in between inheritance and delegation? Because it also provides us the facility of to reuse the code. So delegation always uses the has a relationship, whereas inheritance gives us the is a relationship. In composition, an object can be composed to the other object, and thus object exhibits has a relationship. To provide the maximum flexibility to programmer and allow them to generate reusable code, object-oriented language supports to delegation. In delegation, more than one object is involved in handling the request. The object that receives the request for a service delegates it to the other object, called as a delegation. The property of delegation emphasizes on the ideology that a complex object is made of several simple objects. For example, our body is made up of brain, heart, hands, eyes and ears, etc. The functioning of whole body as a system rests on the correct functioning of the parts it is composed of. Similarly, a car has a wheel, brake, gear, etc. to control it. Delegation differs from the inheritance in the way that two classes that participate in the inheritance shares the is a relationship, whereas delegation has a relationship. Now moving further, the next feature of OOP is known as a abstraction. Data abstraction refers to the process by which data and functions are defined in such a way that only essential details are revealed and it hides all the essential part. So hiding the details of implementation and showing the essential part is known as data abstraction. Abstract class gives abstract overview of required method. OOP allows different access to the data. Some data can be public to read and modify, and some data are private which cannot be accessed by the outside the world or the other owners. It can be accessed only by the members or the same within the same class. For example, as a user of a television set, we can switch it on or off, change the channel, set the volume and add the external devices such as speakers and CD or DVD players without knowing the details how its functionality has been implemented. Therefore, the internal implementation is completely hidden from the external world. Similarly, in OOP, classes provides a public methods to the outside world to provide the functionality of the object or to manipulate the objects as a data. An entity outside the world does not know about the implementation details of a class or a method. Hiding the implementation details and showing only the essential part is known as data abstraction. The next feature of OOP is known as a encapsulation. Data encapsulation is also known as data binding, which binds the variables or member methods of a class or object together. Data encapsulation, also called as a data heading, is the technique of packing data and function into a single component that is in a class to hide the implementation details of a class from the user. Due to this, data is protected itself. Users are allowed to execute only restricted set of operations on the data members of the class. Therefore, encapsulation organizes the data and methods into a structure that prevents the data accessed by any function that is not specified in the class. It allows the access and modification of private data only to the relevant functions. It increases the data security. The next feature of OOP is known as message passing. It means calling the methods between the classes by passing the parameter. So in OOP, message passing is always done through the methods or through the functions. So if we want to communicate with the if one class want to communicate with the another class, communication can be held with the help of only the methods. So this concept is known as a message passing. Any class can call the methods of another class using the respective object only. All methods are public, so it becomes easy to use the classes in different programs. By importing one module, one can access the class and methods from it. The next feature of OOP is known as a reusability. This is the most powerful feature of OOP because here we can use the reuse the code again and again. So we need not to create the same code again and again. It is an important application. A code in a class or function is reused by the inheritance or method overriding. It makes the creating the libraries and use of libraries very easy. It reduces the length of the programs. So these are all about the features of OOP. So in Python, there are various type of features like class, object, methods, message passing, inheritance, polymorphism, containership, reusability, delegation, data abstraction, and encapsulation. The object-oriented language must support the mechanism to define, create, store, manipulate the objects and allow the communication between the objects. So in this session, we covered all the basic concepts of features of object-oriented programming. So please just have a look over on it, go through it and try to understand all the concepts of OOP or the features of OOP. In the next session, we are going to cover or we are going to focus on practical approach or implementation of each and every feature. So let's wait for my next session. Thank you.